Well, as we continue to talk about our giving and our offertory and bequests
meeting ends
and all the necessary finances to make ends meet,
making the mission of Christ viable.
There's an important thing that we need to talk about, which is how we manage to keep paying our employees through this nightmare of...
Cash flow is always a big challenge because, again, we have some trust, we have some endowments, but it doesn't mean that you can always touch the principal. You can't.
If you look at our balance sheet, you'd be like, oh, you guys have plenty of funds. It's like, no, most of those funds are very specific to where they can go.
They will serve us for all eternity. A little dib and a little
bit
dab
at a time. Exactly.
But you're right, cash flow as far as, and when that dried up, churches closed.
And so, we had a lot of meetings as staff and with the finance council.
And with the whole diocese. This was a diocesan conversation in response to federal initiatives. And to realize that, again, we're looking at small businesses drying up across America. And we're still seeing we're not out of that by any means. Even one of the last statistics I just heard yesterday is that one of the reactions of this pandemic is that we might lose 20% of the churches in America.
Yeah.
We could easily do that. We could also say that about Catholic schools and universities. I mean, how many universities that are smaller universities, but when you're charging almost $50,000 a year, who's paying that if you're teaching virtually? So we might see a whole shifting landscape of education and even in terms of religious organizations and small businesses.
So let's talk brass tacks. March hits. We essentially the offertory all but evaporates. Mass. I think what was it at the worst 66% if my memory serves me. Reduction. It was like 75% one of those early weeks. We basically. No one knew how to give. I understand.
It is.
But we had to make some really hard decisions. And I think one of the hardest decisions we made was cutting staff. And it was brutal. It was really... It hurt. It hurt to come into the office, the few of us who were still in the office and know that some people had to be laid off, at least until we figured out how we were going to continue to pay.
It is. And so a lot of the positions, frankly, there was nothing for them to come in and do. Yeah. And the layoff benefits were very good, but it was a tough call to make. It was tough,
But the good news is, good and bad, right? Like trade-offs with everything.
Yeah.
As the government released some opportunities, including some of you may have heard about the Payroll Protection Program, which gave small businesses an opportunity to receive a forgivable loan backed by the government to help continue to fund payroll. And so we had a lot of conversations, and we got the paperwork in order. Again, great shout out and thanks to our director of finance and the bank that all helped us make that happen. We were able to secure one of these loans. I think the hope is, you said the whole time, we hope we don't need it, but at least we can hire back our staff with the knowledge that if push comes to shove, we can continue to pay them.
We can pay them through the end of the year.
And so, as it all turned out, as things have shook out at the end of the financial year and looking at everything, we've had to draw significantly on that loan to continue to pay our staff.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make the parish aware that was a key part of our cash flow to get through this whole mess.
It's a one-time thing, but we are grateful for it in the end. We know that there's going to be a slump in giving probably until the year end.
Yeah, we're hoping as things, if things continue to pick up, we've seen ebbs and flows here and there, and that's, I think it seems from what I've seen, a lot of people are giving monthly or every other month, sometimes even now. A lot of people are still getting catch-up checks, we missed last month. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if we're not just there dropping it in, it's easy to let it go for a month or two. Please don't let it go a month or two.
Please
we really
don't.
do need you.
Our staff really appreciates it.
We don't want to be in this position ever again. Yeah. Truly.
And I think that's a huge... an important part of the offertory. That's why we were talking at the start of this about the hits we've seen in the offertory, and that's why we really need everybody to step up if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you again, but just recognize how important your gift is
at
any level. Your gift is what keeps this mission alive and continues to allow. I keep going back. We're reaching a worldwide audience in some regards now with our online outreach, and that's all possible because
you're the heroes making that possible.
You continue to fund the mission and make it happen. Yeah.